Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. I created this original horror music to add to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave your own comments, and when you're done watching, check the description if you'd like to listen to my music without the commentary. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I've been fishing for as long as I can remember. I'm almost 60 years old now, and even though I've been fishing thousands of times, I can't think of any other way I'd rather spend the rest of my life. My kids are all off living their own lives, and things around the house are quiet now. You could hear a pin drop most of the time. Sometimes I miss the old days, being able to throw the pigskin around with my boys in the backyard, but
What is something that you could honestly do for the rest of your life that you can never get tired of? Let me know in the comments below. For me, it's music because music is my passion, and I love watching this scary stuff too. So I guess those two things I could honestly keep doing for the rest of my life. And that's a good thing because I plan to make full-time incomes out of both of them, my scary music and my other music that I do. I do relaxation music also, but I know kind of opposite genres there. But yeah, music and scary stuff is just something I could do for the rest of my life. What about you? Let me know in the comments below.
some things just aren't in the game plan anymore. I usually fish with my pals from college, but more often than not, I found myself going at it alone, like a lone wolf. This was one of those times. I haven't stepped foot outside upstate New York in over 15 years. I don't see a reason to. We've got some of the best fishing lakes in the country, and I plan on making full use of them. It was mid-April in the early season, just after the ice out and before May hit. For whatever reason, I decided I wanted a more secluded spot this time around, so I chose a nondescript lake in the middle of nowhere that was pretty small. I drove up an hour before sunrise so that I could be out on the water when the sun poked through. I unstrapped my kayak from the roof of the car and made my way over to the lake. I rode out to the middle of the lake and admired the beautiful early colors starting to paint the sky. It felt like home. You can bet your bottom dollar I'd never trade a day like this for anything. It was a little chilly, but I've got skin like steel. I could tell the sun was just about to appear in the sky, so I started gearing up. I was shooting for largemouth bass, so I made my way back to the outside edge of the weed beds, planning to move back toward the middle of the lake if I got skunked. I went for a 6.5-foot medium action spinning rod with 9-pound monofilament line. I was using a wacky rig, which is a 4-inch rubber stick worm, my go-to for catching largemouth. Just before I was about to start what would hopefully be a swell day on the water, I noticed something strange across the lake. I couldn't quite see what was going on, but I could tell that there was movement. At first, I thought it was a fellow fisherman, but curiosity got the better of me. I reached into my knapsack and pulled out my pair of binoculars I used for bird watching. I looked across the lake, and there were 3 figures wearing dark colors and hoods covering their faces. They looked like they were digging a hole or something on the edge of the lake. I kept watching. They finished their hole, and while I was expecting them to put something inside it, they actually did the opposite. One of them pulled something out of the hole, which I couldn't make out even with my binoculars. Then the other 2 did the same, pulling out a few more things that I couldn't quite see. I was beyond confused. Then I watched as they started tossing the items into the lake, each one making a distinct splash as it snacked the water. Something was wrong. Out of nowhere, a wave of fear washed over me. I didn't know who these people were, but I started thinking they might be dangerous. I didn't know what to do. Thankfully, they started to leave without noticing me. I thought about turning a blind eye, but couldn't bring myself to do it. I waited until they disappeared into the woods, and slowly rode my way over. I was shaking at this point. I got to the spot where I was
That's pretty strange, isn't it? Seeing a couple of guys digging something out of a hole and throwing it into the water. Now, what would you do in this situation? I think it's pretty stupid that the guy would go over there to investigate more because they could easily come back, right? They could easily come back and just hurt the guy, honestly. Like, I feel like it's a really stupid thing of him to do that, to go over and investigate?
Pretty sure they had tossed everything. I started fishing, only this time I wasn't fishing for fish. I was going for something else entirely. I fished around for about an hour with no luck. I had to try something different. I racked my brain trying to figure out what I could do. And just then, I remembered my depth checker. I had it tucked away in my Volvo. I was determined at this point. I rowed back to shore, returned to my car, retrieved the depth checker, and rowed back to the spot. I was sweating heavily at this point. I poked around for a bit, feeling nothing but squishy lake bottom. And then, I felt something hard, something metal. I made a mental note of the spot and grabbed my rod. I took the rig off and replaced it with the largest hook I had. I let the spool out slowly, my pointer finger feeling the gentle movement of the line. 50 years of fishing experience was going into this one catch. I felt the slight resistance in the line. It had hit something. I moved the line around.
Yeah, I think this guy is so dumb trying to get whatever this is, because they can literally come back at any time. This guy is an idiot, don't you think? I think he's an idiot.
Around slowly, hoping I'd be able to snag it on whatever was down there. After about a minute, the line tugged a little harder than was normal. I was snagged. I reeled in slowly, careful not to drop my catch. What I pulled out of the water had me shivering in my boots. I stared at the black 9mm on the end of my line. Those thugs had thrown a gun into the lake. I didn't feel safe anymore. I didn't even bother looking around for the other items. I reeled the gun into my kayak, careful not to touch it, and hightailed it out of there. As soon as I got to dry land, I called the police. They launched a full investigation and recovered several more unsettling things from the lake. I insisted on watching them conduct their search because I needed to know what was at the bottom of that lake. They found a keychain with like 7 keys on it and a bunch of old, foreign coins from different countries wrapped in a cloth. The most eerie thing they found, though, was a locket. It was waterlogged, so the pictures inside were faded and unintelligible. The police told me they'd contact me if they ever connected these dots to some kind of crime. They never called me, though. But the story didn't end there. One night, I don't remember how many days after this incident, I heard someone in my front yard say, "That was the car, I know it," and then people snooping around my yard. They never rang the bell or knocked on the door, but I heard multiple people circling my house, and then they just left. I have no idea if it were the same people, and if they were, I have no idea if I'm being watched anytime I leave my house. I alerted the police once more.
Yeah, see, that's why you don't go snooping, because they might come back like this. And that's pretty weird about all those items. Like, what do you think the coins, the foreign coins, and the key and the locket, how do you think that's all connected? It sounds like it would be a good mystery story, don't you?
Hoping this would reopen this investigation, but nothing became of it once again. I still have so many questions. Why would those items be buried in the first place? And why would those people go back just to dig them up and hide them again? Maybe they realized that there was a greater chance they'd be found in the ground, so they went back and threw them in the lake. Or maybe those items had been in that hole for years, and they decided to dig them up for some reason. All in all, this was the strangest thing that has ever happened to me while fishing.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good story. And I don't know, I still think the guy is an idiot for snooping around like that. And he should have just called the police in the first place and not have gone and fished it back up. Like, I would not have the stupidity or the guts, whatever you want to call it, to do that, because I would be terrified of them coming back if I was fishing. So, yeah, let me know what you would have done. And I hope that you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.